What's good, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Three Pyramids Network with your host, the Ignorant Eclectic Mad Genius. And today, as you can see, we back on Flacco's channel for some more information on the Nolan Wells case. Now, this is about the lady that did the toxicology support, or not toxicology, but basically who did like the autopsy of the body and stuff like that. This is about her. She has been doing she's done a bunch of sketchy shit, and it's looking like hopefully, it's looking like she's gonna get what she deserves. But you know what I mean, I'm not the expert. We're gonna let Flacco let us know.
Nolan Wells case and the DA are both under fire and heavy scrutiny
Oh,
today,
and the
and we're
DA
going to discuss both in this video.
lock him up.
So the medical examiner, her name is Stacey Turner. She oversees, I guess, the autopsies, and she oversees a lot in terms of the medical examiner office. Now, people have a huge problem with Stacey Turner and in the conduct and the job of her particular office. Now these are the same people who sent over Nolan Wells' body to the independent autopsy without the lungs and without the organs needed for them to determine a cause of death. Now, apparently, this has been done to other suspicious black deaths, and people are sick and tired of it and want transparency. So this petition is not just like, like a hole in the wall petition. No, this petition got 45,000 verified signatures. 45,000 people have signed this to have her license revoked. Okay, so it goes. This is a petition demanding an independent investigation into the conduct of Mississippi Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Stacey Turner, to the governor of Mississippi, the Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure, the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, the Mississippi Attorney General, the United States Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division, and all agencies charged with protecting the integrity of Mississippi's criminal justice system. They reaching across the country, bro. They want this woman gone. So what exactly has she done that has these people pissed off? Well, let's keep on to you, right? So this says, we, the undersigned citizens, families, advocates, and supporters of equal justice under the law, respectfully but unequivocally call for an immediate independent investigation into the professional conduct, forensic determinations, and death investigations overseen by Stacey Turner. The office of the medical examiner occupies one of the most consequential positions with Mississippi justice system. Medical examiners are entrusted with determining the cause and manner of death through objective scientific analysis. Their conclusions influence criminal investigations, judicial proceedings, insurance determinations, and most importantly, whether grieving families ever receive justice. So they're saying that this woman has not done her job or have not truly satisfied the conditions of those four elements. So they continue, that public trust is compromised whenever credible questions arise regarding the accuracy, consistency of death investigations, right, or impartiality. Over the past several years, multiple deaths involving African Americans individuals have generated substantial public concerns. Families, independent forensic experts, civil rights advocates, and members of the public have questioned whether these investigations were conducted with the rigor, transparency, and impartiality required by accepted forensic standards. So they go through like the cases. Now, Nolan Wells is one of the cases. He's all the way down here. But let's go to the other case. Okay, so one of the cases they're claiming is a case from DeMartavion Trey Reed that took place in September of 2025. Apparently, they found the 21-year-old at Delta State hanging from a tree. Now, although his death was officially ruled as self-inflicted, the issue is a little bigger than just Trey or Nolan. See, the real issue of this petition here is they're saying, bruh, since September of last year, there's been about 13 unanswered, unexplained tragedies involving young black kids. And we can't just keep hearing, oh, it was an accident or drowning. Oh, this person got found hanging from a tree, and they got found hanging from a tree because they put themselves there. Like, after a while, we got to start saying, I don't know. Like, I don't know too many black folks who are going out looking for trees, right, to self-inflict, the ultimate sacrifice upon their life. I just don't think that too many black folks is doing that. But it's been 13 unexplained. Now, let me get through the 13, okay? So, now we have Daniel Irvin, who, his parents were involved in the Nolan Wells press conference. Daniel Irvin was actually, he actually quote unquote drowned July 13th, right? And they're claiming, that this was also
Suicide.
accidental as well, even though the circumstances around his death is much more suspicious than the Nolan Wells death. And y'all let me know if y'all want me to cover this Daniel Irvin case. This Daniel Irvin case, trust me, like if you don't know yet, the circumstances surrounding his death is a lot more suspicious than Nolan's death. Like, it's almost insane they think that Daniel Irvin accidentally drowned. Now, let's continue. November 13th of 2025, all right? Torrance Tory Medley, right, 39 years old. They was quote-unquote found hanging from a tree. They claim they put themselves there. All right, let's continue. Another one, Cal Basinga, 21. There's so much more that I didn't even get a chance to go through. Yeah, but people are sick and tired of being told, that these young men and women, their deaths are either accidental or self-inflicted, and people ain't buying it anymore. They just not. And they're calling for accountability, right? So one person, well, again, like Damian Cameron, right? So following his death, after an encounter with Rankin County Sheriff's deputies, Dr. Turner's office classified the manner of the death as undetermined. Independent forensic pathologists later concluded that the evidence supported a homicide determination, raising a significant question about the original findings, and rather critical evidence was appropriately evaluated. And that's also a part of the problem here. Their office did an autopsy on Nolan Wells. They completely just never notified us, hey yo, there's like a red spot in the back of Nolan's head and neck that needs to be looked into. They just bypassed that completely, never addressed it, never mentioned it. And it took an independent autopsy for them to point out, hold on, he had like a red spot in the back of his neck. That's pretty unusual there. But Stacey Turner in her office found no need to mention that. They had to find out via an independent investigator, right, during the independent autopsy. So now we're having the independent autopsies, right? The independent investigators, they're coming to different conclusions that this medical examiner in Mississippi is coming up with. And the deaths are young Black men and women. And with the history of Mississippi, if the results that you guys is coming up with, it keeps contradicting independent investigations, then we got to figure out who's lying. The independent investigator got no reason to lie. They're not invested in this small town. No, they're just doing their jobs. So people are asking some real questions here, man. So they continued. Shannon Wilson, his family has publicly expressed concern that his body was embalmed before they believe a necessary forensic examination had been completed, thereby limiting opportunities for additional independent analysis. Whether or not protocol was followed, the circumstances have further eroded public confidence in the integrity and transparency of Mississippi's death investigation process. Nolan Wells, we know all about Nolan Wells, okay? Like Nolan Wells, his death has likely become the subject of significant public scrutiny, and independent forensic pathologists concluded that the manner of his death should remain undetermined pending further investigation, and stated that foul play cannot be excluded. That opinion stands in contrast to the state's conclusion and underscores the need for objective review. Again, there's so much more. And they're saying, listen, man, right? We want for you guys to appoint an independent panel of board certified forensic pathologists from outside the state of Mississippi to review disputed death investigations overseen by Stacey Turner. Conduct a comprehensive audit of death classifications in cases where credible concerns have been raised by families or supported by independent forensic opinions. And I believe that's more than fair. Like, I think that's fair, right? If you guys are not gonna, fire her or take her license, then let's have an overseeing board that if the families believe that something suspicious is going on, they at least have somebody, all right, who can come in, do the research, do the investigation, and say, okay, yeah, they were correct in terms of the cause of death, or they were wrong. But right now, the family don't got any trust in the system, all right? But that's just the medical examiner. Now, apparently the DA is under fire as well. Former prosecutor is calling the DA out for how she's been handling this Nolan Wells phone situation. I've said from the very beginning that the phone is important, but the DA isn't treating the phone like it's important. Like, people want to blame Nolan Wells' parents for quote unquote not cooperating, which is furthest from the truth. The prosecutors and the DAs have not requested a phone from them. The phone is not their priority. They could care less about the phone, which is very odd, because if Nolan Wells' case is going to a grand jury and you guys are going to present this case to the grand jury with good faith, then shouldn't you guys be requesting this phone? Shouldn't this phone also be a part of what you guys are presenting to the grand jury? But they're treating this as if it's nothing. And this is a huge error.
The phone in the Nolan Wells case. I have a message directly to DA Angel Myers McGrath from a former prosecutor who did the same job you did, 30 years criminal trial experience, certified criminal trial lawyer, former head county prosecutor. Please listen carefully. This phone issue is getting out of hand. Nobody knows what to believe because you keep refusing, as I've said previously, to do proper public relations. Now, supposedly, there's a letter out there that says you agreed in July to have the phone examined with the experts from the family at a specific location and in a specific way, and that they are ready, willing, and able, and gave 4 dates this week where they would be willing to surrender that phone for examination. Now, I've been involved in things like this, so I don't know what's been said or hasn't been said, but I'll say this. The only story that we're listening to is that from Nolan Wells' family. And when they send you a letter and you don't respond and correct that letter, then we can only presume rightly that what's in that letter is correct. So the question becomes, if you had an agreement in July, why is it not being honored? There are accounts that you have demanded that the phone just be turned over in violation of that agreement. And that is not a good thing, not a good look. I can tell you from the commentary on the posts that I've had that your constituency out there in Mississippi does not trust law enforcement and does not trust this investigation. Your continued failure to update the community on any misinformation, if there is misinformation, or say, for example, if this agreement is not what the agreement was, then you need to get out there and you need to let the public know. Now, stop.
Crazy.
Stop with this thing that you don't compromise investigations about speaking about them. I've addressed this before. You are not compromising an investigation by correcting the record. You are making sure the public has an understanding, so we can only presume what's been written by Mr. Crump and his team is accurate. That phone is vital to any grand jury presentation. If you don't get that phone and you don't download it, then you are going to look like a bum no matter what it is that you do, and nobody will ever trust the investigation, to be honest with you.
Even if you have found yourself on the side of people like Tatum and others, I don't even think you can with good conscience say that you trust this investigation.
Thank you.
You can't with good conscience say, hey, I trust this investigation. This investigation is going how I think it should go. I don't even think you can say that at all, man. It's just too much flip-floppy here, man. First off, it started off as no foul play. Then it was some foul play. Then no, it's a drowning. Then it's no, we're bringing it to a grand jury. Then no, it's a drowning. We're just bringing it to grand jury just for protocol. Now is, according to Secret Service Sam and others, there's intel that this case is now being investigated as a criminal case and not just an accidental drowning.
Secret Service Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update, and little birdies are saying, it's not been completely verified, but that I'm hearing that somebody who has an inside source is saying the DA's office in Mississippi is now looking at the Nolan Wells case as a criminal investigation and no longer an accidental drowning. Now, we can only pray that this is true. Obviously, we can't celebrate. We can't get excited at all because I have not seen Ben Crump announce this. It is not being reported by any other major media sources, but there are rumblings. And so we have to take rumblings. We have to take any little bits we can take. Remember, no stone unturned. We must look in every single direction. We must continue to keep the pressure on.
That pressure to me is very important. That pressure is very important because that pressure is why TMZ, no more than about 2 weeks ago, was calling all of us crazy conspiracy theorists. They were running PR on behalf of Nolan Wells, quote unquote friends. But now TMZ is doing interviews saying, hey man, we were wrong. Now they're criticizing the very same friends They were running PR for about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. Now they're criticizing the friends because TMZ understands. Bro, you're not getting away with tap dancing, man. You're not getting away with bootlicking. I'm sorry, bro. This black boy is dead. Like, I understand you gotta, like hit your quotas and meet your bottom line, but you not about to put the death of Nolan Wells beneath that, bro. It's not happening. So TMZ went from lying about the CTO call, lying about evidence, lying about a lot of things in regards to this Nolan Wells situation to run PR for his quote unquote friends. But now, Charles, when he's not on TMZ and he's by himself, now Charles is telling the truth. Listen to what Charles had to say while on Don Lemon.
Certainly, I fully understand why a large number of people feel like there was a crime, but the reality is we just don't know at this point. So don't read too much into the fact that you see in this letter them talking about prosecution and talking about potential evidence. We just don't know yet, and this all comes back to getting the toxicology, the autopsy results.
Then Charles will proceed to go off on the friends for doing interviews with lawyers and even admitting that these interviews are very suspicious. They look sketchy. He even went off on the friends for things they've said about Nolan Wall's mama. So Charles, it appears like he's finally seen the light, right? TMZ put Charles ahead of the story front page. So Charles, the black man, can run PR safely for Nolan Wall friends, so Harvey don't got to. But now Charles is telling the truth. Here's what Charles got to say about Nolan Wall's friends and these interviews they've been doing with Tatum.
What do you make of now? I mean, because I don't think you will disagree that the friends are on a PR, PR blitz to change public opinion because they believe that they in the court of public opinion, they're not doing so well, that they have been, sort of demeaned in some way, disparaged in some way.
I think it's weird. I think it's weird.
Yeah.
When Warren sat down with the guy, I know we don't like to say his name, sat down with him, I was like, okay, this one kid and his mom is a judge, and maybe he wants to sort of clear his name. But now every week, another friend sits down, or another friend sits down, and now they've got this lawyer, and they're sitting down and doing interviews. It's weird to me. And it's not just weird. There are people who are going to say things on the internet. Why does that rise to the level of you need an attorney to now sit down and do interviews to publicize yourself, to try and change the court of public opinion? Why do you care about a court of public opinion? Because you didn't do anything. And ultimately, if you didn't do anything, and maybe they didn't, let's take them at their word, and their attorney, that they didn't have anything to do with Nolan's death. That's all going to come out when the results of the autopsy come out, when the investigation comes out. So why are you now getting? It's almost like I get like this attorney has probably convinced them, yes, do this and talk about this and it'll change public opinion. But what it really does, it makes some people will look at it and go like, well, what are you getting out in front of?
Bingo. And when he says it's weird, it's weird. Especially when you take into consideration, Nolan Wall's parents or his team have not said they're suing the boys for anything yet. They've said they're suing, not suing, but they're filing like court paperwork for the social media companies to subpoena the information from the social media accounts just to make sure that the activities all match up. But they haven't said they're suing Nolan Wells yet. However, during Tatum's interview, they responded to the possibility of Nolan Wells' team suing them, which to me was super weird. So weird to me is the perfect word, weird. Nothing about this matches up. Nothing about this makes sense. And even somebody who was once on their side got to sit back and say, come on, bruh. Like, isn't this like the third or fourth interview by now? Like, what's going on, man? Like, what's going on? And especially like the talking that it really hurt me seeing them attack that boy's mama.
Yeah.
Like, that really affected me. Yo, you could watch like Christine interviews, bruh. Like Christine ain't trying to bother nobody, bruh. And even Charles said the same thing, man. That them going after his mama was a low blow. It was low. Yo, these boys got to start taking advice from their parents, man, and not this lawyer. Bro, if their parents is telling them to go after the mama, now that's just a bad mistake, man.
If you didn't do anything, there's nothing to get out in front of. So in some ways, it can backfire on you. It's just weird to me. And then
it will backfire.
you also run the risk of what did happen is that one of these kids sits down and blasts Nolan's mom and says that she was wrong to put out that photo, and that's not going to play well in the public for you, man. That you're attacking the mother of your best friend, who you're so distraught about losing him, yet you're doing an interview where you're attacking his mom.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. Like,
it's disgusting.
Hey, man, it's wild, but I'm not surprised. I am 100% not surprised, and I know a lot of people aren't surprised on everything that's been going on. But hit that like, hit that sub, tell a friend, and tell a friend. If I find anything new about this, of course I'll let y'all know. But catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace.